I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. This is another Patreon review, this time for Chase Conley. And for anyone who wants to send in requests of pretty much any type, you just send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, this is actually a TV movie of Frankenstein, and I don't know if it came out in 1992 or 1993 because I keep seeing different dates. Some say 1992, some say 1993. So I don't know for sure, but it's one of those things that's a bit hard to review this thing because it's another iteration of Frankenstein. You know the story of Frankenstein, so I never read the original story, so I don't know which movie is the closest to that story. Some people say it's Kenneth Branagh's film. Some people say maybe this is a little bit closer compared to others. I don't know. What is the Frankenstein movie that is the closest to the original story? If you know, please let me know. But I just say overall, I liked it because I don't mind the Frankenstein story as a whole. I like Boris Karloff's film. Kenneth Branagh's movie I could never get into because it just seemed very, very big, melodramatic. It almost seemed pretentious. I know that sounds stupid, but it felt like a movie that was full of itself. Look how glorious we are. We're so dramatic. I don't know. It just seemed so big that I didn't feel the horror. And Robert De Niro's monster was just a dick. Like, part of the Frankenstein monster's appeal is that there's a little bit of sympathy for him. Although, granted, I'm fine with a Frankenstein monster story where he's just a big old threat, but Robert De Niro, I don't know. Just a weird choice for me to play that. I don't know. Anyway, back to this. Anyway, it starts out with our two characters, Frankenstein the monster, and this chase in the Arctic with sled dogs. And one thing leads to another. Frankenstein's picked up by this group of sailors. And then he tells a story. So, Patrick Bergin, he's been in Sleeping with the Enemy, and he's been in other films. He plays Frankenstein, and I didn't mind his performance. Granted, I would not say it's subtle in the slightest, but for some reason, I could just buy him more as Frankenstein compared to, like, Kenneth Branagh. I don't know why, I felt his desire, I felt his passion, especially whether he got pissed, he got angry, he got mad. And then Randy Quaid plays the monster, and that was an interesting choice, because I'm like, Randy Quaid from Christmas Vacation, Cousin Eddie? But I will say, Randy Quaid, he did give some sympathy to the monster. He did give some I felt sorry for him because he wasn't all out evil. He was trying to do the right thing and kind of got pushed to a war you won't believe, you know, that type of thing. And I should mention, I said it was made for TV. It was for TNT, actually. And it's directed by the guy who did other TV movies or miniseries. Like he did a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and a Jack the Ripper one with Michael Caine. I think the Jack the Ripper one, he actually played the investigator trying to hunt down Jack the Ripper, which sounds interesting. Because I like Michael Caine. Him hunting down Jack the Ripper, again, sounds neat, pretty neat. But I think it's like a miniseries, so it's a pretty long one. But anyway, the guy who did those did this. And for a TV movie, it's not the worst looking film for a TV movie. Obviously, sometime not too long later, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was 94. So 2 years after this. I think that's why this one's pretty forgotten, because that one came out and had the more of an attention to it. But to be honest, I thought this was a bit better. You know, this one just, it had some stuff that was interesting, like how Frankenstein had some experience before, like this weird snake with a cat's head, or a bunny with like porcupine quills, and I doubt that's in the book, but that was like weird and strange. Like, okay, that's unique and not shitty CGI or anything. And then the way he makes the monster is different, where it's not body parts, it's this magnetic machine that he like puts his arm and it clones that arm. So it's some weird clone machine. So it kind of makes a clone of himself, but then things fuck up. So Randy Quaid is disfigured and he's got like veins and shit popping out. And then they tried to do this thing, which was an interesting idea, but they failed in really going full force with the idea. The idea being what one feels, the other feels. So at one time the monster gets shot, Frankenstein goes, ah, looks, and he has like a bruise. I think that's an interesting idea, but they just drop it. Like there's a point where the monster wants him to make a mate, a bride. So he decides to clone his bride, or his bride-to-be. It hurts her too much, so Frankenstein stops, and then that kills this soon-to-be bride. And then you see like bloody chunks, which I'm like, wow, that's pretty gruesome. And of course Randy Quaid gets pissed. Oh, you motherfucker. Like, he doesn't say that. Can you imagine a Frankenstein movie with the monster going, you motherfucker? I mean, the monster does talk, unlike the original Frankenstein. I mean, he started in Bride of Frankenstein. But, you know, then the monster gets pissed about that and said, oh yeah, you don't do that? Well, I kill your bride. And he does. But, okay, during that scene, when the chunks of that wannabe pride is sliding down this little thingy, Randy Quaid comes down, he's getting pissed off, and he gets electrocuted. Now, if you're going with this whole thing that they both feel what the other feels, Frankenstein felt a shot, but is that going to feel the guy getting electrocuted? There's nothing consistent with that. It only comes up when it fucking feels like it. Again, if the monster gets shot, Patrick Bergin feels it. But if Randy Quaid gets electrocuted, then Patrick Bergin doesn't feel anything. I think if they went all the way with that, I think you could have perhaps had some interesting situations. Maybe the monster is choking someone, he's too far away, so Frankenstein has to cut his own hand or stab his own hand. Then the monster goes, ah! And the guy runs off, or the girl runs off, and then the monster looks at him and comes towards him. Or it could be this thing where the monster's like, I can't kill you because I'll die, but I'll kill people you love. And that could create maybe some very intriguing dynamics and story, where even the monster realizes I can't kill him because I'll kill myself. So with this rage being more and more encompassing, who knows what the monster will do next. That's what I mean, like, okay, that's an interesting idea to bring up, but I don't think they really delve into that nearly as much as I could have. But as I said, there's some nice violent bits. There's a part where Frankenstein's going through the hallway, he sees these dead bodies, like one hung or like stabbed and hanging on the wall, as if it was Mrs. Voorhees did it in Friday the 13th, the original. And how it's shot, I mean, it's TV movies, so there's nothing too fancy, but it looked like it had a decent enough budget. Didn't look that cheap compared to other stuff. Story-wise, I mean, monster gets created, he leaves, people shun him, he saves a girl, they think he's a bad guy, so they shoot him, he runs off, he lives with a blind man. At one time he tries to give a flower, something bad happens, accidentally Frankenstein's brother gets killed, which I think that was in, for one, I understand that was in the novel, but hasn't been in too many movies, and that's part of the reason why Frankenstein gets more pissed off and wanting to hunt the monster down. So I mean, I guess if you're a guy who watches all Frankenstein movies, you could do a lot worse than this. You really can't. This one, it might not have all the bells and whistles of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with Kenneth Branagh, but I just thought Randy Quaid was more interesting of a monster than Robert De Niro. And while there are very melodramatic acting, big acting, maybe I give more leeway because it's a TV movie, while that was a multi-million-dollar theatrical production. I don't know, just something about Kenneth Branagh seemed pretentious, and this less so. I know that doesn't make sense, it's just the vibe I got from it. Like, Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein seemed like he'd want to smell his own farts. This one, not so much. I said with the monster being a bit more sympathetic, maybe a bit interesting. The whole cloning thing, which is an intriguing idea. I just wish they would have delved in that a lot more. I think you could have created something really unique. I mean, it follows a lot of the chunks of the story of Frankenstein, so there's not a whole lot else that will be too surprising. So it is what it is. It's a movie where, if you've seen Frankenstein movies and you like Frankenstein movies, it's worth a look. I don't think you'll hate it. For a TV movie, I've seen a lot worse productions. And as a guy who does like the Frankenstein story, it was worth a watch for me. You know, at least to see what Randy Quaid would do with the role. It's sad that Randy Quaid has lost his mind. What do I mean by that? He has a YouTube channel, because I was looking up info on this film. There's not a lot, except like James, Angry Video Game Nerd, he reviewed it for his Cinemassacre. Maybe one or two other people reviewed it. But then I saw Randy Quaid, he had a YouTube channel, and if you watch his stuff, man, he lost his mind. He lost his mind, and that's sad. I mean, maybe I wasn't the biggest Randy Quaid fan as an actor, but I liked him in this. I liked him in the Vacation films, except Christmas Vacation 2. I've liked him in some other movies, and if you like him, I would not recommend checking out his YouTube channel, because maybe some find it funny. To me, I find it just really sad. That's just me. But anyway, this film, it's worth a look if you're a hardcore Frankenstein fan. There you go. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.